Why you check out what they're doing? They're doing it to New York. They're doing it to Chicago. They're doing it to Los Angeles. They're doing it to Houston. What is the same in all those cities? All black mayors.
Hello, friends. The mayor of New York City, Eric Adams, wants us to believe that the reason there is such an issue with illegal migrants in New York City, are you ready for this? Has something to do with his skin color. I'm sure you knew that was coming. I'm sure you knew it was a matter of skin color. It was his racism. He's a black man. Not just him, but he spoke of Brendan Mayer from Chicago as well and called out a number of other mayors. But for some reason, the mayor of Denver, who is a white man, he doesn't fit the script. So he's left out of the conversation. But I found that to be very interesting and somewhat chemical. And I want to speak about it a little bit. So first of all, let's take a listen to the video, and then I'll share my thought at the end.
New Yorkers feel safer, though.
I was a public
Huh?
defender.
New Yorkers don't feel safer.
But that's what you said. That's what you said.
And my
brother.
original question was about how you relate to that.
You said that New Yorkers don't feel safer.
Yeah.
So
There was a poll that came out with last week.
Yeah.
Right, right. And in that poll that came out by the CBC, it stated that the priorities of Mayor Adams is moving the city in the right direction. My priority. Now remember, 2 years, 3 months, brother. 2 years, 3 months. I inherited a pandemic. I inherited 180,000 migrants and asylum seekers that can't work, that we have to house them every day. I inherited.
You called for a lot of them too, though.
No, we didn't,
You
brother.
said it was a sanctuary city. You told them.
Okay, let's see.
this is a
That's
safe
why it's
place.
important. That's why it's important to have this conversation, because sanctuary city and the migrants and asylum seekers are two different issues. Sanctuary city, if you're undocumented, we can't turn you over to ICE or authority. Migrants and asylum seekers were paroled into here. They're here legally. They were paroled into. But what the federal government did and Governor Abbott did, they said, we're going to send them up to Chicago, New York, Boston. And the federal government is saying, Eric, you can't allow them to work. You got to give them housing. You can't stop the buses from coming in. You cannot turn them over to ICE. All of that is illegal. If I do that, we'll be breaking law. So when people look at the migrants that are here, we didn't call people to come here. They were sent here by Governor Abbott. And the failure to secure our borders is allowing this to continue. And we're not getting any money from. We got about $100 million out of a $4 billion price tag. Look at Chicago right now. Look what's happening in Chicago right now. My brother, Mayor Johnson over there, what's happening with him. Look what's happening in Boston. Look what's happening in Houston, Los Angeles. And then do a comparative analysis of what's happening on our streets here. Wow, we dealt with that crisis, turned around our economy, outpacing the state in reading and math of our young people. I've been on Rikers Island more than any mayor in the history of the city, talking with inmates and correction officers to turn around what's happening on Rikers Island.
I know you go to Rikers in 2022 and there were 3 deaths back to back because corrections officers left their posts and allowed it to happen. You went to Rikers to express your support for the corrections officer. I know you go to Rikers.
No, when you go to these hercs and you're seeing these young people, and I walk in and I talk with them. Some of them come from West Africa, South America, Central America. All they're saying is, man, we just want to work. We don't want to sit around here all day and not do anything. That is why the real focus should be on our national government that's saying, why are you doing this to New York? Check out what they're doing. They're doing it to New York. They're doing it to Chicago. They're doing it to Los Angeles. They're doing it to Houston. What is the same in all those cities? All black mayors. All black mayors. And so what we're saying, same thing that I'm going through here, my brother Johnson is going through. My sister Bass is going through. My brother Turner is going through. So our folks, what they wanted to happen, Governor Abbott wanted to happen, we're going to turn these cities against their mayors. We're going to create this environment where they're all going to go against their mayors. Go Google what they're doing to my brother in Chicago. Go Google what they're doing to Sister Bass. So the cities have now turned against these black mayors that are making real change for the first time.
By over-policing black people.
And they're using this to say, okay, these black mayors are not competent. They can't run their cities. They're getting everything to the migrants and asylum seekers. This was a perfectly executed plan that we are buying into.
To make black mayors look bad across the country.
And when we're doing just the opposite.
So there is a major problem here with, how do I say this? There is a lack of self-awareness here. There is, I'm not sure if this is willful blindness or just pure dishonesty, but it seems to me that Mayor Eric Adam is unable to see the picture for what it actually is. Or maybe he does know, he's manipulating us, he's lying to us. There are times, I don't know how the man cannot understand that the sanctuary policies that you've advocated for and Biden's policies and open border policies are the reason why these people are there. It's not that Texas is sending them to you because you're black. They're sending them to you because your door is wide open and you welcome them with open arms and you provide for their means. That's why they're doing that. And I'm gonna play a video at the end that really put a nice caps on that. And also, having said that, I think there's a lesson here. There are some people, they don't have the ability to see themselves. They cannot see their true condition. They don't have the ability, they lack self awareness, I should say. It's like, are you that blind to the point where you can't see the reflection of your own failures as an individual? I get it because, all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. We all sinful human beings and we all have the flaws, and sometimes there are things that we do. It's not always the things that we wish we wanted to do. But I think there's also a level of dishonesty going on here. There's also an unwillingness to acknowledge that you've messed up, man. And it's okay because this is why in the gospel of Jesus, there is a word called confession. When you notice in First John 1:9, if we confess, and the word confession, it really means self-accusation. It's the pointing of the finger at me. That's really the message here. Is once you look at yourself, you point the finger at yourself and you go to God and then you confess the wrongs that you've done against the law of God by breaking his heart and breaking his law. And as a result of the warning given in scripture, and that death penalty is the result unless I repent, there is something called confession that takes place. And when confession is made to God and God forgives, he restores the relationship and he helps you to see yourselves. There's a message in the Bible also, in the Laodicea message. It's in Revelation chapter 3. It speaks about the church of Laodicea. And one of their issues is that they thought that they were rich and increased with good and they have need of nothing. And Jesus says, you don't realize how poor, miserable, blind, and naked you are. And Jesus says, buy idle salves that you may see that the shame of your kid nakedness do not appear before me. And the idea is that I can be in a position, we can be in a position as human beings, right? We fail to actually see ourselves. And no matter what somebody tells us, we make excuses and we blame somebody. Racism. No, it's not racism. It's just that your condition, your failures, your bad decisions, your policies are the results. Anyway, I don't want to say too much. I'm gonna put another video at the end here to end this thing. I just found that very comical that he went on to talk about skin color. It's like, no, it's policies, buddy. It's sanctuary policies. It's open border policies. It's the Biden administration policies. It's the laws of the land. This wasn't there before because these policies were not upheld. And softening crime policies. These are things that you've signed into place, you've inherited, but you never advocated against either. You've kind of confirmed them and affirmed them, and now they have serious consequences in your life. And I think, and they are impacting the lives of many New Yorkers. And if you're an honest man, you should look at that and either turn away from it, reject these policies, or reject the democratic rules as a whole. But hey, don't say that if you're a black man. Anyway, friends, let me link this video, and I'll see you in the next video. Just watch this thing to the end.
Well, New York City is moving forward with a plan to give prepaid debit cards to migrant families, despite criticism from some city leaders. The pilot program initially handing out cards to 115 migrant families with children. The eligible families had to sign affidavits agreeing that the roughly $350 per week will only be used at grocery stores, bodegas, or convenience stores and can only be spent on food and baby supplies. Now, proponents say this is a better system and that there are protections in place to prevent fraud. So joining me now is New York City Republican Councilman David Carr. Councilman, thank you so much for your time. First of all, are these debit cards essentially any different than providing migrant families with actual food and supplies outright?
Thank you for having me. And the answer is no. There's no difference whatsoever. We've been providing as a city support to migrant families for well over 18 months now in the form that you're talking about, donations, food in the shelters that we've set up to the tune of, tens of millions, if not billions of dollars on the city's dime. And now we're just kind of making it worse by giving out these prepaid debit cards. It's absolutely a travesty.
And Councilman, that's what I want to talk about, because there are critics, and there are critics on both sides of the aisle who point to the potential for waste, point to the potential for fraud. Is that a valid concern?
Without a doubt. I mean, the fact that this was a no-bid contract is a huge problem, because not only is it a waste of taxpayers' money to be giving these cash handouts basically to migrants, many of whom may be here illegally, it's also insult to injury because they may not be getting the best value for money. We could have had a company that maybe did this for cheaper than the one that was ultimately selected. And that's why even my colleagues on the left, who are supportive of the migrants being here, find this contract to be unacceptable.
And Councilman, just talk to me, where is the money for this program coming from? Because we've heard from the mayor and, who is a Democrat, but saying that, listen, we cannot afford to continue to, house migrants. We're seeing a lot of cities that are struggling with this right now because it does come at a very high cost. So this program is in place to, obviously, we know people need help, but where is the money coming from?
Well, it's coming from the taxpayers of the city of New York. And I mean, and that's the great difficulty here, is that the folks on the left keep trying to say, oh, well, we need to do this more cheaply and more efficiently. But the reality is that the more New York City offers to migrants who are literally just arriving in this country, arriving in our city, the more of an attractive place we come to be for those who are looking for a place to land. Yes, they're coming to America for a lot of different reasons, but why are they choosing New York? And it's because of the generosity that the city has put forward to the detriment of New York City taxpayers that we continue to see more and more people come to the city to try to find their home.
Yeah, you heard it. Simple as that. There was nothing complicated here. I don't know why Mr. Eric Adam had to try to confuse us. I'm not confused. Anyway, link in the description below. Like and subscribe to the page. Click the bell icon for more. I really appreciate this video. Share your thought and perspective with me. I want to hear from you. Have a good one. Bye.